Good evening and welcome to the July 17th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge allegiance. For tonight's invocation, earlier this week we lost icon here in Scotia Glenville. Jim Burmaster was a tremendous friend to many of us, a great representative to not just Scotia Glenville but Niskayuna as well, and has just been a tremendous leader here in our community. And for the invocation tonight, I would just like to take a moment of silence for each of you to remember Jim in your own way and to spend a few minutes thinking about Jim and his time here with us. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Delavani.
Here.
Councilman Yamamoto.
Here.
Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilwoman Morsbowski. Here. Supervisor Petzler.
Here, just as we go over the agenda real quick, since there seems to be somewhat fluid, and that's, I think, a symptom of having one meeting a month at this juncture, but we do have quite a few add-ons to the agenda. Of the add-ons, we're actually going to be pulling two, so let me go over those. Add-on 1 is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement on Fire District 4 with the Village of Scotia. We do have a public hearing. We'll be opening shortly on that. It's been the board's long standing practice to wait the 30 days after the public hearing to act, so I anticipate acting on August 21st. But we just want to make sure we're giving everybody ample time to be heard on that one if they couldn't make the public hearing. And then add-on 6, which is issuing a negative declaration for the Dutch Meadows project, will be pulled. We will take that up on the 21st with the actual PDE when we go ahead and act on that again. We do have that public hearing. We're calling for that public hearing for the 21st. Is that correct? Tonight we'll be calling for the public, yes. So of the add-ons, those two will be pulled. We do have an add-on that would allow us to hire a firm for the town-wide Greenway Trail Study. We can talk about that when we get to it. Also setting the public hearing in add-on number 3 regarding the Freeman's Bridge Overlay District, which Councilman Godlewski and I have been working with the Codes Committee on. Resolution add-on 4 is supporting a CFA application on a Climate Smart Grant. Same with number 5, which is the Department of State Mohawk Hudson Bike Trail. 7 is setting the public hearing, as we talked about, for the Dutch Meadows residential PDD. And then lastly, the add-on 8 is to add 133 Maple Ave, also known as Yates Mansion, into the sewer and water districts they're in. So that's kind of all that's going on the agenda tonight. That took a half hour. So with that, let's start with the new reports on not new reports, town council reports with town councilman Godlewski.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a few things to report on. First, with parks. The Parks Committee met for the month of June. We've got 3 very eager, dedicated Eagle Scouts who will be contributing to the park. One is proposing parks. One is proposing to build what's called the Gaga Ball Court, which is a combination of Foursquare and dodgeball, I'm told. I'm not very familiar with it, but it's an interesting proposal. Another is talking about the Sanders Preserve and looking to do better trail markers or updated trail markers in there, which would help certainly with emergency services, but also just people out hiking in the preserve. And the last Eagle Scout is going to be doing a walking bridge over the part over by the school, headed towards Anderson Dog Park from Indian Meadows, where the pallets currently are. It's kind of a wet, not so great walking area at the moment. So it's awesome that we have we've got some great Eagle Scout projects already in the parks. They're always come up fantastic. I'm really a great addition. Another thing on parks, next Thursday, the 25th at 6:30, there's a joint effort between the Glenville Rotary and the Scotia Rotary to do a trail cleanup. They're meeting over at the Anderson Dog Park, again at 6:30, and to the trails to pick up. Our parks have been well used, which is a good thing, but when parks are well used, people leave stuff behind. Just lastly, we also met, the zoning revision committee met, as Supervisor Kathy alluded to. There's a Freeman's Bridge overlay district is on tonight's agenda. We continue our work at going methodically through the code and updating and making tweaks where necessary. And then lastly, I would just add my sentiments, my condolences to the Burmaster family. Obviously, it's a difficult loss. I didn't personally know Jim, but my colleagues have said, both Chris and Gina posted very nice messages on Facebook about him, and I echo those sentiments. And that's all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Foster?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I attended, 2 weeks ago, I attended the Town of Glenville Fire Chiefs Association meeting. They will be taking a break for the rest of the summer, but it was a good, productive meeting. We had it up at beautiful West Glenville Fire Department, had a little cookout, so it was a really nice change from the usual inside venue. We have started a collaborative effort with the departments in the town to track the status of medical calls. That includes all fire departments, including the Village of Scotia, just to kind of track response times and any issues that may come up with Mohawk Ambulance, who does serve us, so that we can take a look at data. They have long said that they have issues, and we have finally come up with a way that is not too cumbersome for them to record all calls, not just where they think there's an issue. So I'm not sure exactly how long we'll be studying that data for, but I would expect sometime within the next 6 to 8 months we'll be taking a look at all the data we collect and trying to see if there's any trends that we need to address, so we'll keep the board advised as to that progress. And I would also echo Councilman Lewski's sentiments about Jim Burmester. Jim was a good friend. When I first considered running for office, he actually sat down with me and we had a really nice conversation about that and how to run a nice, clean campaign. And he was always just a very kind and generous and gentle man. And I think that this community will miss him very much, as will I. So my deepest condolences to go to his family. It's a great loss.
Thank you. Councilman Dillon?
Yes, I attended the traffic safety meeting this afternoon, the village and town traffic safety meeting. We had some emails from residents on Charlton Road concerned about the intersection at Charlton and Drowns Road, email about speeding vehicles on Fredericks Road, and also about speeding traffic on Barhide Road. We will set up some traffic counters. We will use the speed trailer. We'll do some selective enforcement in those areas. And we may have a recommendation to the board after looking at the data from those locations. And also I have to say that Jim, it was certainly a shock to see that he passed away to me. I've known Jim a lot of years, and mostly outside of politics. Jim and I worked both in Scotia Rotary for many years together, and he was a great person to the community and to his family. We're all going to miss him.
Thank you. Councilman Aragosa?
Just a brief, I met with Tom Capola and Mike at the highway garage last week, and they received their new roadside mower. It's not fully in use yet, but that's something that a big thing that we purchased, and it's going to be up and running soon. They're working on a lot of different projects throughout the town, trying to get ready for paving. Things seem to be going pretty well there. And just to add my condolences to the Burmaster family, I do a lot of business with Kevin for my business in the bank, and I know his father will be very missed. Good man, good people. So, thank you.
Thank you. On to item number 5, which is to open the public hearing regarding the contract for Village of Scotia to provide emergency fire protection and emergency medical services to the town of Glenville Fire District Number 4. We'll open now. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Going once, going twice, seeing none, the public hearing is now. Next public hearing is to hear all those interested in comment, to make comments regarding the proposed extension of sewer district number 9 for the property located at 133 Maple Avenue. And that is known as the Yates Mansion, so that is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Going once, going twice, seeing none, now closed. We'll move to privilege of the floor. We have no one signed up, but if anyone's interested in speaking on privilege of the floor, just raise your hand over here on this side of the room, because there's no one on that side of the room. We'll open privilege of the floor. Everyone's interested? Going once, going twice, seeing none, privilege of the floor is now closed. And now we're at supervisor's comments to the board, which are actually fairly brief this evening. But the good news, I guess the best news that I can deliver so far is that we finally have a pre-construction meeting for the Glen Ridge sidewalk, Glen Ridge Road sidewalk. And that is going, that project is going to happen, believe it or not, after 3 years. We anticipate a start date of actually late July or early August, one of those, the last week in July or first week in August. So it is set to go. Everything, permits are issued from DOT. It's all ready to go. So that's very exciting. Another piece of our sidewalk in place. And we hope we have, I believe, a complete date of just after Labor Day. Labor Day may delay a little bit because DOT inspectors, but should be early September. So that's good. Some of you saw, I was able to take one of the maiden voyages on the Beacon Dolls new fireboat, which Senator Tedisco secured a $200,000 grant for to make happen. It's an impressive boat. There's a lot of capability on the boat. It gives them a lot more capability than they had previously. They showed us how everything works, the ladder out to the water. It just was, there's so many things they can do with it. Got up to 43 miles per hour, which was pretty nice. We got out to the lock from Dollywood Marina, and Senator Tedisco decides that we should test the capabilities, and he suggested they throw me in the water and see if they can retrieve me. Unfortunately, they didn't do that, so that was good. But it's great to have that asset in the town.
I guess we didn't give them enough money.
Another 50,000 maybe. I did have a meeting last night with the UCC Oversight Committee. We did approve the budget, which is increased by 1.95%. Just a few peculiar things in it to keep your eye on. The county has changed how they're presenting the budget. They've decided for the first year to add a county administrative fee of $172,000. But they failed to give any backup as to what that includes or what it pays for or who or what. They just say that's what it costs them to add in the UCC. And they also added, for the first time ever, a charge of rent of $114,000 a year into the budget. When I pressed them on that, they said, well, we pay the rent, we just want to reflect it. So they put back in the revenue line, revenue from the county to cover this admin fee that came out of nowhere, and rent, which is part of the agreement that we made with the UCC, was that the county would pay rent for the facility. So they claim they just want to reflect truly what they're putting into it, and so it's budget neutral from the point of view that they added the revenue line after they put the expense in. But I just caution folks that whatever people link, they can unlink. Revenue can disappear one day, but expenses stay. Just be cautious and just be aware that that's in there. They are up on their employees. As you know, they were hovering around 36 or 37 for a while. They're at 43. As you know, the full complement is 47 in the budget. They do anticipate 2 more in August. So they are getting there, which is good news for, I think, folks in the county. And lastly, CFAs are due at the end of the month. We've been working very hard on these CFAs. We have a couple we're putting in We have two on the agenda tonight that need a resolution. The other ones don't need a resolution, that's why you don't see them on the agenda. We can go over the sidewalk one when we get to it, because there's some cost share breakout that we're going to propose to the other municipalities. But the other CFAs going in that do not need a resolution are Yates Mansion, which the budget is not yet defined. The consultants are working on that. The Melwick boat launch, which is defined at $200,000 with a 50% match, so it'll be $100,000 grant, $100,000 town resources if we get it. The Veterans Park, that concept right now is being flushed out, so we don't have the exact budget on that one yet. And as I mentioned, the sidewalks. So those are the 4 areas that we're going in for CFA on for that. Other than that, I have nothing else to report tonight. Anyone have any questions or comments for me? Thank you. So back to the agenda, which is item number 5, a resolution scheduling a public hearing for Wednesday, 21st of August, regarding the abandonment of E Street. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was moved in second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution, should it pass, would set a public hearing for 7 p.m. on August 21st, 2019, here at Town Hall, for the consideration of the conveyance of a portion of E Street between 502 and 602 Potential Parkway to specially Inc., and also with respect to the abandonment of that portion of the street.
Any questions or comments? As you all remember, this was the work session for STP. Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goddard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, stating that the town justice court has been audited and accepting the audit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second, just for start the conversation, as we talked about, the Uniform Justice Act requires the town board to examine the records and the docket of the town justice, the town court, and this has been examined. I think you've all had an opportunity to see it, and this would be accepting the audit on the court. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please refer to the phone.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goddard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 11, this is our 2019 budget amendments. As you know, we do these periodically, the miscellaneous sweeps from different appropriation and revenue codes. So do I have a motion?
So
Do
moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions or comments?
I was just inquired, I started to do some quick calculations, is it all budget neutral?
No fund balance allocation, budget neutral. Typically, it's, as you'll see, things like, miscellaneous, moving from contingency account miscellaneous into, maybe a internet fee or something that popped up. Some of it is in sick payouts that were in maybe a contingency fund being moved. But it's all budget neutral, no fund balance allocation out of the town. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goddard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 12, authorizing a tax cert regarding a certain property in Scotia. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the
Do I have a
motion.
second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this is a tax for settlement for property located at 265 Mohawk Avenue in Scotia. We would be, for the year 2016, we would be reducing $37,500. The year 2017, reducing $42,500. The year 2018, reducing $47,500. The year 2019, a reduction of $57,500. That's in assessed value of the property. As a result of the settlement, this would lock, this would limit the parcel owner from challenging their assessment for the next 3 years per statute. And this is something that, in consult with our town attorney and our assessor, that they feel is in the best interest of the town, considering the cost and expense of litigating the matter to completion. And I do believe budget allocation for tax cert settlements, and I would assume the money is there for this, yes, for the refund.
And just add no one opposes it, the school district does not oppose it.
No,
Village does not oppose it.
Pretty small as far as our tax certs go. Issue we had here was that our appraisal on the income approach came in at 110,000. That was higher on the sales comparison, but they had a much lower appraisal. So it's, compromise that we had gone to trial, and the judge accepted our, income capitalization approach. We stuck with 110 for all of the years, so.
Is this building house is the taxi dispatch?
Right.
Okay.
It's pretty small.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Catley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, approving monthly departmental reports. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this would approve the reports submitted to us by department heads for the month of June. We receive them through our email. I would thank the department heads for putting them together and submitting them, and hopefully we've had a chance to review them at this point.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Catley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, approving the town board minutes for May 1st. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this would approve the minutes for the May 1st, 2019 town board meeting. These were prepared by Ms. Nielsen's staff, and I thank her for putting them together for us.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Catley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, approving another set of town board minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this would approve the minutes for the May 15th meeting and the special meeting held on June 12th. Again, thanks to Ms. Nielsen's staff for putting them together.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
I believe I was excused on that.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Catley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, add-on resolution 1 is being pulled for reading because of the full 30 days. That's the fire district 4 agreement. My understanding is the village has already passed that agreement, so I don't anticipate any issues on August 21st. The second one is resolution add-on 2, hiring a planning firm for the townwide Greenway Trail Study. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? You want me to start off? As you all know, we received a grant a couple years ago now for a study to map out a pedestrian trail throughout the entire town of Glenville. And this is really the study that would help us link all the different pieces that we put into place as we speak. And so this is a grant that for $59,000. The proposal from Behan Planning and Design fee is there, as you see, is $59,906,000. This will allow us to hire them. We did have 7 qualified firms submit. We did have a process of which staff went through and ranked them all. And in the rankings, Behan Planning and Design was deemed to be the most qualified respondent to assist us with the completion of the Greenway Strategic Development Plan. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Supervisor, the amount that is budget is in here is in the current budget, correct?
Yes. Yes, this is, I believe most of it's covered by the grant. Yeah,
Just making
if not 100%. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Catley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next item, resolution 3, calling for a public hearing regarding the Freeman's Ridge Road Overlay District. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, as referenced by you earlier in the meeting, this will call for a public hearing to amend the zoning code to adopt a overlay district for Freeman's Bridge corridor. This is something that we've been working on rather extensively in the zoning revision committee. We got a presentation by the chairman here at one of our meetings in regards to it. This would allow for the residents to weigh in on the proposal. Just briefly, I note that I believe our town center is also an overlay district, so it's kind of the same idea. An overlay district is just to kind of create a character, an identity for a specific portion of the town, and that's what we're looking to do for the Freedom corridor.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pivotalini?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Galvis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, add-on 4, supporting the town CFA application for a climate smart grant. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Have a second?
Second.
And moved in second. Before we begin, as I said earlier, things are fluid, and I was on the phone before the meeting with our consultant, and the $425,000 is not the right number. The right number is $440,000. So, make sure we have an accurate resolution. I'm going to ask for a motion to accept an amendment of the application from $425,000 to $440,000. And we have a second.
And I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none on the amendment, if you can call the roll.
Councilman Pivotalini?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Galvis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes. So we have add-on resolution 4A, and now we have it at $440,000. This is the Climate Smart grant that we've been working on, and this is actually an exciting one to me, despite the amount of money that it actually have to be, because it includes 3 school districts, 2 counties, 2 towns, and 1 village. And it's really, truly a collaborative effort of all these entities coming together. And I got to tell you, a whole lot of residents, I've got a lot of support letters from residents. How this breaks out, the $440,000, and my math is not going to be exactly on, Jason. I know you like it when it's exactly on, but it's fluid right now. But roughly speaking, the town of Glen, everything within the town of Glenville would be $290,000 roughly match within the town of Glenville. Clifton Park, this is the portion from All Falls to Glencliff School, would be $114,000. And the Village of Scotia on Sealy and part of Broad, and I think Trustee Solotruck was there for that meeting, would be $40,000 as a cost share. These are numbers I'm reading right now. What these numbers do not reflect, however, is the county's participation, both Saratoga and Schenectady. They do not reflect the $80,000 we've already secured for All Falls. And they do not reflect any school district sharing. So it is my plan, as we're collecting these support letters, which we are, is to have conversations with each of those entities and explain to them that everybody is going to have to share something, the school districts included, in order to make this happen. I've had a conversation with the ARA president in All Falls that we can only get the sidewalk to the county line, and if Saratoga and Clifton Park decide that they're not going to go from the county line to Glenville, we can't do anything about that. So I would say to you, this resolution would allow us to go forward with the application, which is due by the end of July, but we still have some work to do and some discussions with our partners on what kind of resources they would bring to the table as well, so that our share would come down significantly. Any questions on that? I know it's kind of fluid is the word of the night.
Thank you for your work on this, Mr. Supervisor. I can't imagine trying to herd all of these entities into something that even resembles an agreement. So thank you for your tenacity and commitment to this.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pivotalini?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Galvis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, add-on number 5, which is a CF application for the Department of State funding the reconstruction of Scotia Glenville Mohawk Hudson Bike Trail. We have a motion.
So moved.
A second. Moved and seconded. This one, I just want to point out that this is a CFA that did not make my list when I was given my report of the boat launch, Yates Veterans Park, and then the Safeway Schools. But this one is, we're asking the board to authorize it with the understanding that it may not be submitted. We're having a conversation right now, and we'll have a conversation with the council on a strategic decision of, does it make sense to put two bicycle pedestrian paths in, and if so, are they competing against each other? And if so, which one is a stronger application? We believe the Safeways to School is a much stronger application, since this one has been denied 3 occasions now. That said, I've had a conversation, a very good conversation with Mayor Gifford and Ray Gillen, and both have committed with Andrew Kohout and Tom Capola that we will come together as 3 entities and fund that trail. I think Councilman Darlewski's had some conversations with Chris Gardner on it. I think you'd say there's an interest.
Interest to call around, yes.
So I think what I believe is going to happen here is we're just making sure we're authorizing this in case this is a go. But I think this one's going to be pulled, and I think this one's going to be done with the 3 entities coming together and get it done separately.
Let me ask you this. Does it affect this one if we do this one?
Well, that's what we're afraid of. There's not an easy answer to that, so we have an opportunity to talk with our regional council members and talk to them about that and say what makes sense. Does this, they're in different agencies, one's a
Right,
Climate
different
Smart and one's a
agencies.
DOS, but at the end of the day, there's probably someone coordinating what's going on
Right.
between the agencies. And so we're going to ask for just an honest opinion. It's my thought that the Scotia Glenville Pike Pike one has been denied so many times. This one, my email continues to blow up with support letters from residents in all 3 districts. I just think there's so much support for this one, that this is the one. And I think, again, with the conversation we had with the county and the village, that the other one is going to get funded through that. So I think it's very unlikely that this one's going to get put in. But we'll wait to hear from the regional council as to what their thoughts are.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just noted that 5th whereas there's 0 missing under 10,000 number. It's just.
Oh, yeah, just,
Typo.
yeah. So that's a clerical.
Yeah, that doesn't need a motion.
Great. Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Yaragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Dabrowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 6 is being pulled because we take that up with the actual PDD legislation. And then we move on to resolution item number 7, which is scheduling a public hearing regarding that Dutch Meadows residential PDD. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, as you stated, this resolution would set the time and date for a public hearing in connection with 24 acres located on Dutch Meadows Lane, presently owned by Raymond Kwiatkowski, under contract for sale to Ridgeville Capital, from general business and professional residential to residential plan development. The public hearing would be set for Wednesday, August 21st, 2019, at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Yaragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Dabrowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Last add-on, resolution number 8, approving the extension 19 to sewer district 9 regarding 133 Maple Avenue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, as you stated, this would be approving an extension 19 to sewer district 9, which involves the property at 133 Maple Avenue, which is the Yates Mansion. Should this resolution pass, it would be approved.
Any questions or comments? One question I have for our attorney is I thought we had to do an extension into the water district as well.
We just did that.
It was already.
Oh, that was
That was number 6 tonight.
number 6.
No, that's 6 was the public hearing, that's.
Yeah, 6 was the public hearing.
The sewer is already in the one.
Oh, it was? Okay. I originally told you it wasn't.
Oh, right, this is the approval of the sewer, which we just did.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Yaragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Dabrowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next thing is new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Lewis.
Just one thing I forgot to mention, our council reports this Friday down in the village, Garden Lanes. Got a little opening. They've got their bar area up and running. Still looking to get the bowling alley up and running. I think they're looking to draw some people into the bar to increase their capital to get the lanes up and running. So if you have some free time Friday after work, stop by. Again, that's at Target Lanes in the village. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Rosati.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm actually surprised that you didn't mention this. Just noting that residents should be starting to see the refund of the Time Warner fees on their cable bills. And so if you see that, that's because they were overcharging us. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Castellano.
I have no new business.
Councilman Rosati.
I have nothing.
We just add, we had a request for an appeal to the board on a denial of a solicitor's or peddler's permit. I did speak with the attorney to try and get them straightened out so that we wouldn't have problems with that company again, and have them reapply and give us full and complete information on each of their applicants for permits. But the code says if they were to appeal, that we have to hold the hearing, which is a town board hearing, on the appeal within 30 days of their applications. So in the event that something doesn't happen with their reapplications, we may want to set a date, and then we can let you know if we need to hold that hearing or not.
Can it be during the board meeting?
Well, I think probably the closest date is our work session date.
That's within the 30 days. So we have to do it in the work session.
All right, so we'll just set it for that date. Chances are we're not going to need it, but just so that if we do,
August 14th.
Is it within 30 days when the letter came?
well, yeah, it's
Okay.
30 days of the denial. They have 10 days for
Okay.
denial to appeal, and then 30 days for
Okay.
receipt of their appeal to schedule.
The only thing I have just for new business, or just to update you, things are really, as we just did service for Yates Mansion, things are moving there. We are down to basically, I think I've mentioned this before, the studs. And we're ready to start to kind of bring it back, and I think the next steps, we just finished the archaeological dig, which was kind of interesting. They didn't find anything, overtly like really cool, but they did find some things on the ground that helped them date the house a little bit. And so that's going to help us add to the accurate story of the house. I think we're going to find some things about the house that we thought were true, but really aren't. And there's some things that maybe we're going to learn about it. So they're preparing the archaeological report. Once they have that, they'll come in and do a presentation with the findings. It's mostly flatware type of stuff, dishes, shards of pottery. They did find a lot of agricultural type stuff in the Builder's Trench, horse-related pieces of equipment, cleats for the horses' feet, which we didn't know that they were using to plow fields. So it kind of gives us just a little bit more of a glimpse as to what might have happened there. I also had a local attorney, and I know Mayor Gifford has also offered this, but a local attorney to start reading all the different deeds and unraveling the deeds. And so we're trying to match the physical evidence we're finding with the deeds and get a better understanding of what's going on there. But one of the things the archaeological team wants to do is, or is asking to do, is for us to consider an expanded dig at some point. That there might be more away from the house. Very often you would have your privy away from the house, and that's where you would dispose of a lot of your stuff. If something broke, you would take it there and dispose of it. So they're asking about test pits to maybe try to find. That could be a future thing. That doesn't have to happen anytime really soon, but just think about that maybe in the future as maybe an archaeological camp one summer or
That'd be something. amazing.
Yeah. And then from there, I'm working with Tom Capola on getting the utilities into the house. So that's the heating, cooling, plumbing. That's why we're doing this, plumbing, sewer, electric. And so just in case they're going to ask you what's going on there, it's continuing to move. So any questions, let me know.
The fundraiser that they had, are having,
Yes, the fundraiser is, it's the dinner. The Yates. Hang on, it's coming. September 19th, it's a Thursday. It's the Riverstone Manor. It's the dinner for, it's actually, it's going to be cool. Now that you're going to get talking about it. It's going to be a gin and jazz themed fundraiser. Nell Burrows is making her famous Bee's Knees gin drink, and everyone's going to get 2 of those if you're not driving, free. But it's pretty cool. And so that's the 19th, Thursday the 19th of September. But, Councilman, you did make me remember something else, because we do start Thursdays in the park. On Thursday, August 1st, we have 5 of them this year, and I'll just quickly go through them. We have 3 great bands on the first 3 Thursdays. 7 o'clock, it's free in Indian Meadows. There is food available for purchase. On Thursday the 22nd is date night, classic movie night, which is Viva Las Vegas. We are putting together one of your favorite things, Mike, a trivia night, Elvis trivia, which is your specialty here. So we're gonna
my parents are good.
we're gonna have, and then we'll follow. We'll be there serving beer, and there'll also be something for purchase. And then the last one, Kids Night, which is Thursday the 29th. We're gonna have Lego 2 movie being shown. And the PBA and the town fire chiefs will be there, and they're sponsoring the night, and they'll be there for the kids to come out and meet the firefighters and climb on the trucks and everything, and the PBA will be there. So I think it's a great season this year, and if you guys can get the word out, that'd be great. So Mike just elongated the meeting by 15 minutes by asking me a question. Do we have anything else on new business? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Take a second.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.